everyone. This is Pamela Topchian. Welcome to Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And today I have Char, and look, that's a mirror image, so she's over here, I think. But but I will let you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do in the holistic healing world.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to be here. I was
Oh
so
yeah.
happy when you reached out to me. We've known each other for a little while, so it's kind of fun to kind of get to have a little
Yeah.
bit more time with you. Yeah. So, well, my name is Char Savoy. I'm in Minnesota,
Hmm.
and I am a healer, energy healer, mentor, coach, intuitive medium, paranormal investigator, ordained minister, and I run some psychic clears. So sometimes I sleep, but
Yeah. Hopefully, if you're lucky,
right?
right?
Yeah, so I do a lot of a whole bunch of stuff all mushed together in one, and it makes sense when it all comes together, but on paper it looks like a whole lot of everything.
Yeah, yeah. Your website is just full of different offerings and services and yes, and your gifts and your talents for sure. So, how did you get started in doing all of this?
Yeah, goodness. I always laugh when people ask me that because it's such an odd story. So honestly, when I was a little, like four, 3 to 5, 6, whatever, I was seeing dead people. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was like, oh no, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't do that. And you have an active imagination. And then, of course, my mom thought it would be a great idea that I should watch The Exorcist.
Oh my gosh, you were that little
Well,
at
that
that?
when it came out, I was probably like 7, I think,
Okay,
so it was a
wow,
little
that's
bit
still
later.
young to be watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, do not recommend. Do not recommend that way. So that kind of twisted that whole thing on being very fearful of the
Mhm.
whole entire thing. So I shut it all down, didn't want anything to do it, but I was still having experiences. But now it felt like this was like the complete opposite of love and light that was coming in to visit me because of
Mm.
what I was watched, right? So it was not good. So it took a really long time up until I was in my 40s and Ghost Hunters came out
Mm-hmm.
and I started watching it and I was terrified to watch it, but they were showing you like it wasn't always ghosts. There were other things.
Right.
It was either doing normal stuff and I'm like, oh,
Like maybe it's
okay.
grandpa.
Or the pipes or
You're
something,
right,
right? And I'm
right, or
like,
something, yeah, something not
oh,
not paranormal, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I got super curious. At the time, my husband was going to Colorado. We went and spent the night at the Stanley Hotel. So go big or
Ah.
go home. So I signed up for their overnight investigation. I went on the investigation. I was like, holy crap, this is not what I thought it was, you
Yeah.
know? And then that led to being in a group, which then led me to working in a haunted hotel, which
Mm.
then led to the spirits going game on.
Yeah.
Here we
Right.
go. So got mentored by the spirits at the hotel of like opening up and then other psychics and mediums and healers coming in and telling what they do and how they do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is really cool. And that just cracked everything wide open.
Yeah.
And it was more loving and kind how it should be. So like I said, it's kind of an odd little story to get into it, but that's kind of how it happened. I came from a
Yeah.
really odd place and came through the back door of paranormal investigating and went right into the rest of it.
Wow. I saw spirits when I was a child, was never scared of them. My mother, nobody told me that it was wrong or bad, and I was just my imagination. So I was lucky in that way. I now am like trying to, and I'm, near 60, and I'm trying to now develop more mediumship skills. I'm just reading a lot and stuff like that. So thank you for sharing all that. We mentioned you have so much on your website and so much to offer. So when someone comes to you, how do you know? Do they just come to you with an issue? Like, this is my issue. What can we do around it? Or do they come to you and say, hey, I want this service or that service? Or how does that work?
And that's a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
It's like I have a wide selection of things on there because I feel like when I started trying to figure all this out,
Yeah.
the first people were like grounding, like you
Hmm.
need to ground yourself. Like, what does that mean? Like, well, you just ground yourself. And I'm like, but what does that mean? And like, well, you just do it. And I'm like, I don't know how to just do it. It's like
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. And I also know that I'm also different. I have ADD and things I don't learn things the same way as other people do
Ah,
either. And so I was like, if I'm struggling with this, I bet there's somebody else that could be struggling with this.
sure.
So I kind of formed it around how I learned it and broke it down as simple as I could and gave as many options as I could to figure out how to ground. So if you take a grounding class with me, you're going to learn about 10 different ways to ground
Oh,
yourself.
nice.
And then you
Yeah.
have tips and everything, Sandra said, you just need to ground. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So it was hard to go to like group meditations or other stuff like, oh, let's take a minute to ground. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah. What are we
Because
doing? Yeah.
yeah, so I thought I was missing everything. And so for me to kind of put out those core classes of like, this is the basics of everything, and this is everything that I learned and everything I've researched and all clumped into one so that you
Yeah.
can pick it apart and take it apart and make it yours. So
Nice.
there's a lot of that on there. I'm also an empath, and so
Mhm.
through my own research and learning how to deal with that, I developed an empath series to help them learn about them and how they take in energy because empaths also learn differently. We're
Yeah.
very sensory. So it's not logic, it's sense. I need to feel it. So that's a different way of learning too. And so I really try to make it very personal for each person that wants to take it, and they'll find what
Yeah.
fits for them. And I just feel like it just makes sense to not do this cookie cutter class all the time.
Yeah.
And that was my goal because I'm not cookie cutter. So I'm not going to teach it cookie cutter wise.
Right, right. Awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned classes on that. So are you working with people mostly like in groups or one-on-one? And is it mostly in person or is it remote as well? Or how are you working with people?
All of the above.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously there's some hands-on classes that work better in person, but if only one person signs up for the class, I'm still going to do it,
Yeah, as
or
long
if
as
somebody
somebody's there,
says,
yeah.
right, because that's the point. It's about I'm here to help other people learn.
Mhm.
And yes, I have a life and I have a schedule, but if one person desperately needs to have this information, I'm not going to say, oh no, wait 6 months till it comes back. Like, well, what's
Yeah.
your schedule? Figure it out, because I, again, it comes from my past of like feeling like people aren't making time for me,
Mm,
and so I really try to operate on a level of love and care for each person because
yeah.
I didn't get that. And so I want to make sure other people are getting that because figuring out this journey, this healing journey is hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, and if nobody's listening to you or gets it or feels or takes the time for you, it makes it even worse. So that's where I come from on it.
Yeah, nice. So we've mentioned your website a few times. So it's charvinity.com, and that's CHARVINITY. And that's also your Facebook and Instagram where people can find you. So is there anything that you want people to know or to prepare when they first come to you? Somebody that's never worked with you before, what would you tell them?
Just come with an open mind and an open heart. Bring your questions. Please bring your questions and
Yeah.
don't feel like I think the one thing I hear the most with both the metaphysical and the paranormal is you're gonna think I'm crazy or you're gonna
Hmm.
think this is weird. That's not. It's not. There is nothing weird. There's nothing crazy. Everything you have to see, feel, and experience in your life is valid. So let's
Yeah.
bring it to the table and work with it. You should
Yeah.
never have to hide a part of you to heal.
Yeah, that's nice. And yeah, those people that come and say that, that's what they've been told for a long time. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, right, right.
Yeah,
Or there's, we talk about people being in the spiritual closet. People are afraid to talk about it because they feel like they will be judged and, lose
right.
friends and stuff, and yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of trauma that comes with starting this journey, I think, just in
Hmm.
general, because one, it could be religion, it could be family, it could be,
Yeah.
social norms or whatever it is,
Hmm.
or just being authentically you, being raw and letting
Yeah.
everything open. That's hard. And
Yeah.
so I want to make a safe space for anybody to come do that because you deserve to have that moment, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and if they're reaching out to you, it's like they're ready. It's like, okay, I'm
Right.
ready to heal this. I'm ready to move along with this or whatever it is. Yeah, or get to that
Yeah.
root of whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And the other thing too is I never claim to know everything.
right,
So if
right.
somebody comes to me and they have something that's out of my realm, I know a lot of people that I will refer you to somebody that I truly respect and know
Yeah.
and get you to the right person. So again, it's not just about me being your sole person. I will help you find your tribe of people that need to help you too.
Yeah. Nice, nice. So we've mentioned that you do so many different things and there's so many different offerings on your website and that. What is kind of the most popular? And does that change? Like, is it like, oh, it started out, this was really popular, and then now it seems like more people are searching for this. So what's most popular?
Yeah. That's a great question because it does seem like it goes in cycles,
Yeah.
which is interesting to watch. I think a lot of the times, right now, anyways, it seems like more of the deep healing stuff is really
Mm,
important.
yeah.
We started off with like, let's make a pendulum and rune stones and learn about crystals. And now I
Yeah.
feel like everybody's like, I want to dig deeper. And so it's the shadow work, it's the self-love, it's the finding your destiny.
Mm,
And then I just launched a brand new coaching program, which has been really amazing to watch people go through.
yeah.
And that was based on my own last year trying to figure myself out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's the deeper stuff I think right now, which I think is the energies of the world right now. It's that all self-reflection,
Yeah.
digging deep. Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and I kind of think that like since 2020 has been a lot of people have been going through some deeper stuff and some reflection and then coming sort of we're getting a little bit further away from that now to where people that had to were kind of forced to self-reflect and forced to sit in their stuff, then they're kind of coming to a point of now like, okay, what are we going to do with this? So
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. Since 2020, the transformation that has
yeah,
been, I don't want to say forced upon us, but kind of the universe
kind of,
nudging
yeah.
all of us to kind
Yeah.
of dig a little deep and go, who are you? Where do you stand? And this isn't part, everything has transformed. Like this isn't a part of
Yeah.
your life anymore. We're taking that away and that away and that away. What are you going to do? And
Yeah.
it's not meant to be, I mean, it is painful, but it's not meant to be hurtful. It's meant for you to reflect and grow. And I think
Right.
that's what the universe is trying to do is get us all to elevate and grow and really become a better version of who we're supposed to be individually
Yeah.
and collectively.
Yeah, totally agree. Very well said. Absolutely. You mentioned about classes and workshops and things like that. So this will be, of course, we're recording earlier. This will be released in July. So what's the next thing coming up that people can look for as far as classes that might be starting in July, sometime in July or later in the summer?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I just worked on my calendar last night. I'm gonna grab it here really quick. I just scheduled all of my June classes, so that's like not gonna be helpful. But we the soul alignment journey, that's individual coaching, is an ongoing thing. When you
Okay.
start is when so that's on one person, one-on-one thing. So that's
Okay.
always going. I'm doing a self-love workshop in July, which is just kind of really coming back to you and learning to love yourself and those parts of yourself that we would prefer not to,
Mm-hmm.
because that's part of shadow work is loving the things, all of us, right?
Yeah.
Every piece of us. My empath workshop will be available as well. And then there will be some hands-on things like making pendulum stones, how to read oracle cards, a whole divination 101 class where you learn about all the divination tools, which is so much fun. And
That
then
sounds fun.
also, oh my gosh, I divination's my jam.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and then we have Mercury retrograde coming up in July. So there's a Mercury
Mm,
retrograde class to learn how do you manage through Mercury retrograde. And I think people I mean, Mercury retrograde is not always so much fun, but I think it gets a bad rap. It's meant to help teach us. And me as a Virgo, I get hit kind of hard at Mercury
mm,
retrograde. So how do we navigate through that? How can we make it work for us?
yeah.
It's kind of like using the energy to change what needs to be changed at the moment instead of changing something that is not going to change because of the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of these classes and all of these things are listed on your website, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll have that listed below. And I know some people don't read the description under videos and don't read the show notes under the podcast, but please read it when you hear this and get in touch with Char. Um, so you mentioned that divination is sort of your jam. So what is probably the biggest misconception, or do people sort of, I don't know if I'm going to use the right words, but do they like come at you, or accusing you of things, or, because of that?
Yeah, that's a hot topic right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I I think the thing about it is, I think people don't realize they do divination every single day. We do
Right.
divination all the time, and I think that's what people don't understand is like,
Hmm.
you want to wear this shirt today because it's your lucky shirt.
Yeah,
Okay.
what is
What's
that?
different than what's different than pulling a tarot card for the energy for the day?
Hmm.
It's your weatherman. What do you think he's doing with the clouds? He's doing divination by watching what the clouds are doing, how they're forming. He can tell you what's going to happen. Basically, divination is using a tool of some
Yeah,
sort to predict an outcome. And
yeah.
so it can be a self-help book, it can be your car manual, it can be the good book, the Bible. It could be anything,
Yeah,
the weather,
praying.
your
People who are praying every
praying.
day. Yeah.
Yep. Your farm animals act differently when there's storms and things like that.
Yeah.
So it could be you wake up in the morning and your knee hurts and like, oh, it's gonna rain today. Oh, look at you.
Right.
So we do divination all the time. You eat
Hmm.
healthy food because you want a better outcome.
Yeah.
You drink coffee because you want to wake up.
Yeah.
You're
It's all
predicting an
alchemy. Yeah.
outcome.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love
So
that. I love that
yeah.
explanation. So what's is the best place to reach you? So you're on Facebook and Instagram and you have your website. So what's the best place for people to reach out to you that you will see it right away?
Probably on Charvinity on Facebook through
Okay.
Messenger.
Okay.
It's like sometimes I don't always look at my email as often, but that
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger goes off all the time. So, and I
Okay.
have my phone all the time. So,
Yeah.
definitely that's probably the easiest place.
Okay. Okay. And is there anything else that you want to make sure that people know or anything else you want to share before we end this today?
Um, I just want I just want everybody to know that there is somebody out there, whether it's me or somebody else, that understands what you're going through. So
Hmm.
don't hesitate to reach out to somebody and to look for answers or to look for help. And if you feel like you didn't get that from somebody, find somebody else. Don't give
Yeah.
up. There is somebody out there that can help. And also, if you see one of my classes online and it says it's in person, message me. I can easily do hybrid. It's just
Oh,
sometimes it's
nice.
easier to just put in. I mean, if we're making a pendulum, obviously I can't like teleport you the material. I would
Hmm.
love that would be amazing, but
Right. Right.
so there's certain things that are basically in person. But if it's something like a workshop and you're not in the area, like the
Mhm.
self-love or the empath, and it says in person, message me. I can do hybrid. It's super easy for me to do. I can also record it. So you're like, I really
Mhm.
want to join that, but I'm not available that day. I can record it and send it to you. So
Nice.
there's always an option. And that's what I said before. It's like, I want people to get what they want and need. And so I will work with you the best that I can. Can't always make it happen, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
And I just believe in yourself, even if it's just a little bit, because you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose. And if you're not sure what that is, again, reach out to somebody to help you find it. And even if it's just little pieces at a time until you build
Yeah.
it, that's all that matters. And give yourself grace. This life in this world is hard. And right now there is a lot of heavy energy. So give yourself grace that you are trying every day and you are doing the best that you can every day, even if it doesn't feel like it, you really are.
Yeah. Very nice. Such a nice message. Yeah. Thank you so much. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, everybody, please read the description. Please reach out to Char, and she's there to help, even if you're not sure if you're interested in her services or not. Reach out to her. She's obviously very open to discussing whatever you need to discuss and helping you find your way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.